PM Pham Minh Chinh attends Vietnam-Russia Business Forum in Moscow.
President Trump proposes 15-point peace plan for Iran.
Expanding pineapple cultivation areas for industrial processing.
Hello, so good to see you again in today's news. I'm Hoàng Yên, and here we go, the first headline of the show. Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh just attended the Vietnamese-Russian Federation's Business Forum in Moscow on March 24th as part of his official visit to Russia.
The event was attended by Russian Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Chernychenko, Vietnamese Deputy Prime Ministers Tran Hong Ha and Bui Ton Son, and more than 220 delegates from 120 leading enterprises of both countries. Delegates discussed business environments, investment potential and cooperation opportunities across sectors including energy, telecoms, finance, agriculture, tourism. In his address, Pham Minh Chinh stressed the need for stronger cooperation amid global economic challenges, calling for greater dialogue, trust and practical collaboration. At the forum, companies from both countries exchanged 4 cooperation agreements covering oil and gas, maritime transport, railways and logistics. During the visit, the Prime Minister also met leaders of TH Group to discuss its dairy investment projects in Russia.
The tense situation in the Middle East is facing a major turning point as the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump had just delivered a 15-point peace proposal to Iran aimed at ending the conflict.
This breakthrough move comes alongside mediation efforts from Pakistan and other regional nations toward a ceasefire. The central content of the plan includes demands that Iran completely abandon its nuclear program, dismantle key uranium enrichment facilities, and fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital maritime artery that handles 20% of the world's oil transit. In exchange, the United States may lift all sanctions and provide support for Iran to develop civilian nuclear energy at the Bushehr power plant. According to analysts, any talks between the US and Iran would face monumental challenges. Many of Washington's shifting objectives, particularly over Iran's ballistic missile and nuclear programs, remain difficult to achieve.
The government of the Philippines has declared a national energy emergency as the escalating conflict in the Middle East threatens fuel supplies and the stability of the domestic power grid.
In an executive order, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. highlighted the imminent risk to energy availability and security, driven by Middle East conflict that are disrupting global fuel markets. In response, Manila is considering short-term measures to curb electricity costs, including ramping up production from coal-fired power plants. The Philippines remains heavily reliant on imported fuels to operate its power infrastructure. On the same day, Moldovan government also approved a proposal to declare a 60-day state of emergency in the energy sector. This move follows the disruption of a critical power line connecting to Europe, a consequence of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Upcoming are some updated news.
After more than a year of 5G implementation, as of February 2026, Vietnam has deployed nearly 40,000 base stations, covering 90% of the population with approximately 23 million subscribers. This information was shared by Mr. Nguyen Phong Nha, Deputy Director General of the Authority of Telecommunications, at the EU-Vietnam Global Gateway Forum. Vietnam's future strategy will focus on 3 key pillars: the 5G network, the submarine fiber optic cable system, and satellite connectivity. Currently, Vietnam hosts 5 mobile network operators and 6 mobile virtual network operators, totaling 120 million broadband mobile subscribers. In February 2026, the authority also granted a 5-year experimental license to SpaceX's Starlink satellite service for 600,000 subscribers.
According to the master plan, Nghệ An province is set to develop 71 industrial clusters covering over 2,650 hectares. To date, 31 clusters have been established. 23 of which are operational. These sites have attracted 257 projects, created jobs for more than 25,000 workers, and generate an annual revenue of approximately 4.5 trillion Vietnamese dongs. Despite these positive results, many industrial clusters face hurdles due to unsynchronized technical infrastructure and complications in site clearance. In response, local authorities are being urged to finalize infrastructure, particularly wastewater and environmental treatment systems, and expedite legal procedures to create favorable conditions for attracting further investment.
Directive 09 of the Prime Minister mandates the acceleration of the E10 biofuel adoption roadmap. Starting as early as April 2026, in Nghệ, petroleum retailers have proactively adopted the government's guidelines from the Department of Industry and Trade to prepare their implementation plans. Nghệ currently has over 600 petrol stations across the province. It is expected that from late April to early May 2026, Petrolimex Nghệ stations will begin the transition. By June 1, 2026, the entire system of directly managed stations and the distribution network under Petrolimex Nghệ will have fully completed the switch to E10 sales.
In various localities across Nghệ An province, agricultural restructuring is opening new economic pathways for local farmers. By repurposing inefficient production land, raw material pineapple cultivation models are taking shape, aiming to establish a stable supply zones for upcoming fruit processing plants. More in the story today.
One notable example is the 10-hectare pineapple farm owned by Mr. Nguyen Duc Quong's family in Dai Dong commune. This marks the first time such large-scale cultivation has been implemented in the area. The output from these pineapple fields is designated to supply a fruit processing factory slated for construction in Nghệ An in the near future.
Before planting the pineapples, we invited the company to conduct soil quality surveys to ensure suitability.
Alongside Dai Dong commune, many other localities are currently transitioning from inefficient crops to raw material pineapple cultivation. In Tan An commune, Mr. Nguyen Van Sun's family, who owns 2 hectares of cropland, is now ready to make the switch.
In line with the commune's pineapple cultivation policy, our family has begun implementation and received comprehensive technical training. We have now finalized the preparation of our planting areas.
According to the plans, a fruit processing plant of Dong Dao Joint Stock Company will be built in Nghệ province. In addition to traditional cultivation areas, Nghệ is planning to plant an additional 1,000 hectares of pineapples in localities with suitable climate and soil conditions.
The local authorities recognize that this is highly suitable as there is an ample land fund for pineapple cultivation and an abundant labor force. Therefore, we believe this direction aligns perfectly with current development trends.
Recently, the investor conducted surveys and selected an appropriate site in Phuc Loc commune to construct the fruit processing factory. Currently, there remains significant potential for expanding raw material pineapple cultivation within Nghệ province. Thus, developing raw material zones in tandem with processing facilities will be a crucial factor in maximizing the economic efficiency of pineapple crops.
The last story just ended our news today. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you and goodbye.